Okay. I love Canada and America equally, and I've spent about as much time in both. Are there pluses and minuses to both? Yeah. Simple truth of the matter is, the way that America is kind of set up, like East Coast, West Coast, Middle America, Southerners, like the cowboy region, the mining regions, Canada has the same thing. Pretty much the mindset from Texas goes all the way up to Alaska. The coasts are always a bit more of a melting pot, but it's not like Canada doesn't have maple MAGAs, and it's not like Canada doesn't have a guy who's trying to become our prime minister, president, who's pretty much just a well educated version of Trump. He is literally promising Canadians the same effing stuff that Trump did, and Maple MAGAs are lapping it up exactly like MAGA. Oh, you'll get free housing, and you'll be pretty, and everything will be fine, and you'll be a millionaire, and we'll kick out all those immigrants, and life will be perfect for you. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, look how well that's doing in America. Everybody needs to understand that as shitty as it is now, it's not going to get better. We are 20 years away from seeing anything better because we're going to have to go through this terrible ass lesson and take every spanking along the way from Trump, so it won't be pleasurable until finally we see sense and start to fix ourselves. But if we don't learn the lessons, and we didn't learn the lessons from World War II, so we're definitely repeating them, if we don't learn the lessons, it won't matter because we'll kind of do okay, and then we'll kind of, again, in 80 years. But, at the rate we're doing things, 40. The question for the next iteration of Trump will be, well, is there still a planet left for us to have the next Trump? I know everybody has this impression that Canadians are nice, polite, kind, educated, funny, a little sarcastic, but mainly funny. Basically, Brits light but understand Americans. And it is true because we're heavily influenced by the UK, but we get like all the American TV and we get all the other American stuff. So we are a mix of the two. And yes, we do put a little bit more emphasis on education, but it's not that we don't have problems in our education system. And yes, we have healthcare for all. But if you have that rare cancer that nobody's ever heard of, is it going to be difficult for you to navigate the Canadian system? Yes. Do we have wait times? Yes. In America, can I just call my doctor and tell him the kind of antibiotics I want? Yeah. Is that a good thing? No. Oh, American healthcare is so much better. Cool. Come down here. My friends on unemployment are paying somewhere between $1,700 and $2,400 a month for insurance, and that's before you have to pay for doctor's visits and medication. One of my friends recently got let go. She gets her medication through like the CVS pill pack program. Without insurance, they won't mail her medication. They won't send it to her without insurance. She was like, oh, I will pay for it flat out. I need this. And they're like, no, we don't do that. We can transfer it back to CVS and you can go play with it there, but like, no. So she's pretty much going to be off medication for a month while she sorts this out. And her medications are going to run her about $3,200 a month. So if you're playing a game at home, that's somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 a month if you don't have insurance in America. Tell me how much better American healthcare is. Go ahead. Well, just don't pay your bill. I assume you've never heard of collection agents. They'll come for you. Oh, and in Trump's new world, you think the same games are going to apply? All the companies who hate how you screw them are just going to bribe Trump and get out of it. But I will tell you that in Canada, people are a bit nicer, even in Toronto, which is currently having racial tensions. And thanks to all the American manufactured guns that are smuggled over our border, we have a gun problem in Canada now. It's nowhere near the United States, but do we have a gun problem? Yeah. Do we have a schmug problem? Yeah. Does everybody have a job? No. Is Toronto ridiculously expensive? Yeah. And is there a housing issue? Yeah. But what we don't have is Trump. What we do have is a system that is actually run by people who know what they're doing. Person in charge of healthcare, you'll never guess they have a medical degree. The person in charge of education, you'll never guess they are a former teacher. Everybody in their position kind of knows what they're doing. So at the very least, the people in charge, as much as they might not be getting it right, at least know what they're up to. So at the very least, our cabinet members are infinitely more qualified than anybody currently in position in the US. Will the Canadian dollar have a whole lot of problems as the US continues to tariff and screw the rest of the world? Yeah. But is the Canadian government actively trying to work its way around this by making trade deals with other people? Yeah. Has Canada actually come together in a united, like, America? Yeah. Quebec, who usually likes to pretend they're not at the party with us, is actually, fuck the Americans. You got Quebec mad. You got Quebec to be like, we are Canadians and proud of it. That's a Canadian miracle. Look, we are infinitely more regulated in how we throw out trash. We are infinitely more regulated in the products we can use. You're not going to find every medication you want in Canada. And it's not the same kind of like, we can do it, we can make $1 billion kind of mindset. Although Toronto is starting to get very New York. But overall, it's nicer. It's calmer. You don't fear losing your job on the same level in Canada as you do in the US. Is it perfect? No. Does every Canadian love each other endlessly? No. But it's a bit more community minded, as in, like, we understand that if you fail, I fail. Our media isn't allowed to lie to us. We have restrictions upon it. Our advertising is nowhere near as sexy as American advertising because you can't lie to Canadians about product. It's not perfect, but there is nowhere perfect. So no matter what country you're looking at, being like, ooh, Lord knows I am trying so hard to figure out a way to be able to move to like Sweden, Norway, Denmark. They have some of the happiest people on earth. Their satisfaction with life always ranks highest. They have reasonable things like, maternity care and paternity care and health care and severance and, but still, it's not perfect. No place is. But what you're looking to do is drop your toxic ex and maybe explore safer options. Look, in 4 years, people could get so fed up. In 2 years, people could overthrow the government. I don't know. But I can tell you it's calmer in Canada. A bit more rational. Even the Maple MAGAs are a bit more rational. It's not perfect. Not everybody is thriving. Not everybody is just, enjoying life every moment of the day. But there's just not the same stress. When I took my job in America, it was because I could make so much more money in America and Canada, and all things being equal, it was like, oh, well, it's exciting here. Everybody's so worried, like, oh, I wanted to be part of hustle culture, like, oh, Canada's like the safe boyfriend. I want the dangerous motorcycle riding boyfriend, so I stayed in America. We all make unwise choices in our 20s. Canada is not as exciting. It's incredibly beautiful. It's just in as many ways messed up as America. But the government is trying. As much as they mess up, they are still actively trying to be for the people, which you haven't gotten the sense that the US government was out for the people in America for a very long time. You might not like what the government is doing. I will be the first one to tell you it is expensive in Toronto. I can't imagine what some other places are. But there's a park by our Toronto house. People have been living in the park. There's an entire segment of our neighborhood's Facebook devoted to, like, who's got this, who's helping them. It's going to be really cold tonight. Who's going to check on them? There are a couple people who are like, get the homeless out. But they started an entire section of Facebook just devoted to, like, hey, they're living in a park. Probably not because they want to. Let's just make sure they don't freeze this winter. I gotta tell you, in my town, by now, they would have bulldozed the park down rather than have people sleeping in it. It's just kind of the mindset difference between the two.